Hey guys, welcome back. It's Rob, aka Memory Lapse, bringing you some more video matchups of my 8-rack deck and strategy. It's kind of a new build I've been testing out here. I've foregone the smallpox. Let's take a look at the build real quick. Sort of tells a little bit more of the story. So I've let go of the smallpox in favor of the wrench mind in this particular build. You can kind of find those two interchangeable. Not that they're comparable really, but just that it's for the 2cc slot in the mana curve. Remember in the primer I talked a lot about mana curve and why it's important. But for the 2cc slot, you can make a case for either depending on your meta. Another interesting choice. I don't know why I wasn't using this before. Dismember. It's essentially a 1cc removal spell like Disfigure, but you've got the option, to pay. It's a -5/-5. Obviously, it'll remove, even fatties. And you have the option of paying 1 for it if you have the extra life. Or we're running all black here, so. If you got the extra mana, it doesn't even hurt you that bad. So, the downsides are highly mitigated in this particular deck. So, a strong candidate. I don't know how it's been overlooked by myself and a lot of the. I don't remember anybody recommending it on the forums. So, alright, so that's pretty much the deck there. You get the idea. I've got Infest in the sideboard now, and Shadow of Doubt in the sideboard as well. So let's just take a look at a couple quick games. This is just this is actually the very two first games that I played with it, and it was kind of funny to watch. I'll just start with this guy. He doesn't play me too hard here. I don't know if you call his deck a Jund deck, but he's got a pretty heavy discard and critter package going there. It sort of feels like a Jund. So we'll see what we've got here. So I go first. Pretty nice little hand. Blackmail is a card that you don't see very often, but I've had some really good success with it. So okay, so there you go. I guess it's not a Jund. It's more of a blue or a black-green whatever, board control Jund style deck. So I get rid of the Dark Confident here. I don't like Bob. I can deal with the other stuff, even a huge Tarmogoyf if I absolutely have to. The Blackmail I'm planning on casting next turn if he doesn't get rid of it. But I'm pretty sure he does, if I remember correctly. So he's going to Thoughtseize me here. He has, if you noticed, he has a fairly hefty discard package himself. He's running Thoughtseize and Inquisition of Kozilek, or however you say it, IOK. That's a pretty heavy commitment to discard for a board control deck. So I ripped the Ensnaring Bridge, which is pretty great. I'm guessing he probably doesn't have an answer to it. Unfortunately, what he does have is an IOK. So yeah, he'll definitely choose that now. So now his Tarmogoyf is huge and fat. Should be a 4/5, I think, if he plays it. So I'm kind of worried at this point. But my deck kind of comes through here next turn with you'll see, the double Ensnaring Bridge. So I play this, and as I guessed, he does not really have a main deck answer to this, and I think it enrages him because he pretty much just rage quits right here. His Goyf is useless. Any Bobs that come up, I've got 2 Dismembers for them, so any kind of utility creatures that pop up, I've got answers to. Yeah, he's just sitting there looking at the board, and he gives up. Draws a bunch of cards. I tried to get him to, he rage quits here too. He doesn't even play the second or third match. I tried to get him to play a couple times after this. He put another game up, and he just kept quitting, and then he wouldn't play me again. So that kind of tells you about the mentality of this deck. Oh, right. He does try to give it. Let's take a look here, real quick, because I'm thinking if I should sideboard anything here. He's submitted his deck. And, you know, there's nothing really that, I mean, maybe Leyline of that Sanctity, that's what I'm kind of thinking hard. He's got all those discards. But I go with it anyway. I take a one-lander here. Now, you can take one-landers with the curve this low, so I take a one-lander here because it's a freaking great hand other than it's a one-lander. And I'll rip a land in the next couple turns, and I really only need 2 or 3 at most. But yeah, I've got a great hand here. So this is kind of amusing. He comes at me with the Thoughtseize. Now keep in mind he has to pay 5 life to do that, so that hurts him a lot, you know. Whereas it only cost me 2. But he Thoughtseize, takes 1 look at my hand, and then scoops. It's pretty funny. I don't even get to play a spell. So, but it is that. I mean, it's that kind of a deck. You know, if somebody sees that and they don't even want to play. You know, it's just like, just forget it. I won't even bother trying. So, you know, okay, so there's game 1. Okay, that doesn't really show you too much. Okay, so we'll turn that one off real quick. And this one I thought was a pretty good match too. Anybody knows why VLC Media Player crashes every time it first starts? I'd be happy to figure out that bug. I love this media player. I highly recommend that media player. It will play any single file, and it has a lot of great features and options too, and it's totally free. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so this is a game versus you, White Art Delver, or not Delver, but Tempo. And he spent a lot of money on his deck for sure. He's got all the money rares in there from what I saw. So I kind of have not the greatest starting hand here. I've got 3 finishers, which you really don't ever need more than 2. You know, I'd much rather have a more discard than those 3 finishers there. But I have the Liliana, and I do have the Raven's Crime and the Dakmor Salvage. I didn't come up with that little nifty interaction myself. One of the forum guys did. And I have to say, it is a really good interaction. So I'll just show you here. This, in fact, this main match is kind of just to demonstrate that. So I have a perfect setup now. I have 3 regular lands, and I have the Dakmor. So I'm going to go ahead and start using the Raven's Crime with the Dakmor. It breaks him. Actually, those 2 cards by themselves with the 2 finishers completely break him. And that's pretty much this whole game, as you'll see here. I don't even... We'll just take a look here. So he's discarding his Electrolyze, which is pretty cool. He discarded his Path to Exile originally, which is a very smart move. I mean, he knows if he sees, you know, a discard strategy like Raven's Crime, he knows there's probably not going to be too many critters. So... still 3 mana open. What his deck does is he plays a lot of cantrips like the Electrolyze and you know, Remand and stuff, and then which are cards with pretty good value, then he gets even extra value out of those cards with Snapcaster Mage. That's a big you know, a critical card for him. It's one of the best blue creatures, really. So I dredge my Dakmor Salvage because until he really deals with this thing, you know, setup that I have going on here, you know, there's not. I don't have to. He has to deal with this first, is what I'm saying. Also, I don't want to just cast the Liliana there. He could be sitting on a Mana Leak or a Remand or something like that that's going to give him a tempo advantage. It's the one thing you don't want to do against a tempo deck is to let them play their game, because if you let them play their game, they will walk all over you. So even though I love to have Liliana out here, you know, I go for the discard, and I had 2 mana left over, so might as well drop my other 2 finishers. It's nice having 1 CC finishers, by the way. You know, I don't really know too many other decks that can manage it. I guess Redburn kind of has 1 CC finishers. I don't know. It's hard to say. All right. Anyway, so all right. So he plays his land. He's got 4 because he needs a tempo deck. They have to have 4. They might not need 5 or 6. Like, I mean, he might have like Cryptic Command, and you want 6 mana to be able to Snapcaster the Cryptic. But all right. So I draw the. I was thinking about playing the Liliana there, but since I drew the IOK, I really want to see in his hand. I have not peeked his hand yet, so we'll see here. So I peek his hand, he electrolyzes me, and we'll see what he gets. So he has a Snapcaster, a Johnny, and the Cryptic Command. So obviously I have to discard the Snapcaster, but I'm happy because his Cryptic Command he can't even cast without another blue, and his Johnny, if he does cast that next turn, it's going to put him in a really bad position. I don't think he does cast it. You'll see what I mean. So he starts taking damage here. I think all he does is cast the Ajani, and he doesn't know that I have the Liliana, but he casts the Ajani and keeps my land tapped here. He's thinking about it. But it's a bad move. He really can't do anything here. He doesn't have any options. He casts it because he really doesn't have anything else to do, but it's not a solid plan. I guess he would have been better off just keeping it in his hand and pitching it. But he's kind of desperate here. What's he going to do against this strategy? I've got a never-ending loop of discards with the Dakmor Salvage and the Raven's Crime. So I go ahead and pull the Dakmor again. This will be the 4th card I've discarded with Raven's Crime if you include the original cast. So Raven's Crime, again, the workhorse. I can't say enough about this card. Every time I go down to 3 copies and I don't see it, I immediately deck editor back up to 4 copies. So yeah, with 2 racks, by the way, you can redirect the rack damage to the walker. So I do that, I get rid of his walker, basically, kind of for free, and he already took the 3 damage from the Shrieking Affliction, which can't be redirected. So there's that. I'm in a really good position here because I can keep casting my Dakmor, and he has to do something, but anything he casts puts him automatically in range of the Shrieking and Affliction. He's already in, some small rack damage here. He's in big trouble. Our life is close. He's got more cards in hand than me, but he is in giant trouble with this Raven's Crime lock. And I keep, until he does something that makes me stop, I'm going to keep dredging this. So here's 5 cards that will have been discarded with Raven's Crime. I still haven't cast my Liliana. That's a rarity, to have the opportunity to have cast Liliana on turn 3 and still not do it. I will almost always, most games you'll find you'll be casting her because she's so awesome. But didn't need it in this game. I give him a problem that he can't deal with. And the Dakmor Raven's Crime lock, it does a lot of what Liliana does too. I mean, she's discarding a card every turn. It's kind of like the same thing, but in a way even harder to deal with. Unless you're dealing with like a DRS type of a deck, they can just delete the card. But so that's, yeah, we're going on 6 cards here discarded with that lock. And next turn he dies, unless he does something. And I'm pretty sure he just screws around at the end. He has no answer to this. Cryptic Command, whatever. There's no answer to this. Like he's sitting there contemplating his life, like, why did I expend all this money on a deck? Oh, you know what? Another kind of neat feature of my deck that I don't really consider, because all my cards are ancient, I've had them for a long time, but other than Liliana, the entire deck costs pennies. So you could even consider it a budget sort of deck. And there is some, you know, greatly like a weak replacement for Liliana. There's a card called Necrogen Mists that does a lot. Or just forget that. You could just use Stupor. Stupor is a 3C card that will crush people. You discard a card at random and then discard another card. You know, it gets rid of 2 right there. It's pretty awful to have to, you know, do that. So he's dead here. He snapcastered himself, then lightning bolted himself. And then while I'm thinking about if I should put something in the, I was thinking about sideboarding in like my Leyline of the Void. He just gave up. So there's 2 matches with it. And not only am I sure, you know, I'm not saying that's the greatest example of how the deck can beat people, but, you know, I've showed you a couple different aspects in this upload. You know, maybe a couple different card choices with the Dismember. That should have been in the mix to begin with. But the blackmail, even though I didn't get to play it, consider using this. This is a good card against you know, Tron. It's a good card in general because it's not the first one that you cast. You know, I've got, you know, 19 discard spells. So you pick apart their hand with the Thoughtseize and the Inquisition and so on, and you know, then you Ravens, or you know, whatever, you pick apart their hand, and then when they're down to like 3 or 4 cards, then you cast a blackmail and cripple them even further. And then so you see, it's like by itself, like as if that's the only one you have, it's not great on turn 1, but turn 2 or 3, it's looking pretty good. It becomes superior to the other ones. So again, you know, I've got so many discards here, like 22 discard spells in this particular build. But so there you have it. You know, a couple different new cards to consider. Like I said, there's lots of room for variation in this. You could dump those, and put in your DRS. You could put in your smallpox. You could put in creature removal. You could put in infest. You could run a white splash and put in Path to Exile and have Quiet Purity or whatever in your sideboard. You see, this is I'm just sort of showing you that hand control strategies exist. They are a thing. You know, to use an internet meme, you know, they're a thing, and let's, you know, explore them and look at different variations, all different kinds of splashes, all different kinds of cards that now, once you have the shell of hand control accepted as a playable strategy, now we have a whole class of decks that can be explored. And, you know, I'm not saying, I mean, I'm a pretty good deck builder, but there's better deck builders out there, you know, that maybe just need a little inspiration like what I'm doing here. So, you know, if you're a great deck builder, you know, put your 2 cents in here, you know, post on the primer, and let's get some good discussion going. Okay, go ahead, as usual, thumbs up, sub, if you really like my stuff, you want to see more, leave your comments. Trolls and flames are welcome. I won't even delete them on these magic ones. I'll leave the trolls. So just create some discussion, whatever you want to do. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it as always. That's Rob, aka Memory Lapse. Memory Lapse. Get your freaking name right, stupid. All right, see you guys.